Welcome to Psychology 201, Session 3, Attitude Reflection Presentation. In this presentation, we're going to take a very brief look at attitude. Attitude is basically a summary evaluative reactions. They color our social cognition and perception. They involve feelings, beliefs, and behaviors. Our attitudes often happen automatically, especially when the attitude is developed based on a religious belief. Our attitudes are extremely complex. They have elements of good and bad, explicit and implicit. For this assignment, we were challenged to observe the attitude of ourselves or someone close to us for an entire day. I decided to observe myself. I would say that throughout the entire day, my attitude remained stable. This graphic of a normal heart rate, I thought, was a good representation of what my attitude throughout the day looked like. Why is it that I was able to maintain a stable attitude throughout the course of the day? In our reading this week, I came across a very interesting quote, and it says, "Many attitudes are learned over time through reinforcement and modeling. An attitude to which we are repeatedly exposed is likely to influence our own attitudes regarding the subject." This may be a reason why I was able to maintain stability. I have been very purposeful with my closest relationships. My husband, my close friends, they are calm, positive, God-fearing people. They reinforce beliefs that I have taken from Scripture, which I also have been purposeful about learning from Scripture over the past 18 years of my Christian walk. This could account for my ability to maintain a stable attitude all day. Another element that I found extremely interesting, again from our reading this week, actually has to do with my age. Studies have shown that people with the most solid, unmovable attitudes are middle-aged. I'm 47 years old. I'm a wife. I'm a mother of 3 grown children. Basically, because of my age and my season in life, this adds to my ability to maintain a stable attitude. Let's look at some of the functions of attitudes. They help us organize our complex social world. We don't need to constantly be reevaluating people and situations because we've already experienced certain things and we already hold an attitude about them. They help us increase our affiliations, our connections. This speaks directly to our intrinsic relational nature. Attitudes also enable us to express ourselves. Attitudes help us boost our self-esteem. When our feelings, beliefs, and behaviors are all in alignment, our self-esteem is increased. They also function to help us with impression management. For example, this is if I hold the right or proper attitude about any given subject, this often ingratiates myself to other people that are in my surroundings. And finally, let's wrap up this presentation by looking at what God has to say about attitude. Let's start out reading Philippians 2:3-4. It says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of the others." Basically, Jesus maintained an attitude of humility, humbleness, service, and selflessness, and basically in every situation. This verse speaks directly to that. The Apostle Paul encourages us in this next verse, Ephesians 5:1. And it says, "Follow God's example, therefore, as dearly loved children." I think Paul is telling us that we need to mimic the way Jesus was, have the attitude that Jesus had, because having that attitude simply does not come naturally to us. And if left to our own devices, we will fall significantly short of that type of selfless attitude. And finally, let's look at Ephesians 4:22 through 24. It says, "You were taught with regard to your former way of life to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by its deceitful desires, to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness." This is a wonderful verse. It speaks to what God is trying to do. He's trying to give us a complete makeover. And through Paul, God tells us that God is aware of where our natural inclinations are, and He wants to take us and make us new, get rid of the old self. If we do this and we mimic the attitude of Jesus, we will be made over. We will be closer to the true righteousness and holiness that God desires for us. So, very briefly, just these 3 verses tells us that the attitude of God is what we are supposed to be striving for.